Let's go to the 3rd century BC. The Carthaginians, who were Phoenicians originally that hailed from Carthage in northern Africa, had long established their presence in parts of Hispania. As their enmity with the Romans further in the Mediterranean worsened, they faced the wrath of the Romans in the Iberian Peninsula. They had already made significant cultural and commercial contributions to the region, but their power waned as the Romans gained the upper hand. The Roman Republic, thirsty for expansion, set its sights on the enticing lands of Hispania. In 218 BC, during the Second Punic War, the Romans embarked on a campaign led by General Publius Cornelius Scipio, the one who was known as Scipio Africanus. The Romans reached the coastal city of Ampurias, north of the Ebro River. With their military might and grand ambitions, the Romans swept across the Iberian Peninsula, establishing control over the various tribes and transforming the region into a vital part of their vast empire. By the year 206 BC, the Carthaginian presence in the Iberian Peninsula came to an end at the hands of the Romans. Meanwhile, the Iberian tribes, like the Turdetani and the Celta-Iberians and the Lusitanians, experienced a complex interaction with the Roman culture, adopting some aspects while fiercely attempting to preserve their own identities. The Romans had seen the reason that the Carthaginians firmly held on to their settlements in Hispania. The precious metal resources were profitable to the empire, and so the Romans left behind a part of their army and their people to envelop Hispania into the Roman Empire and integrate it. So what happened to these vibrant tribes after the Roman invasion? Well, the Roman era marked a significant transformation for the Iberian Peninsula. The indigenous tribes gradually assimilated into the Roman society, adopting Latin as their language and embracing Roman law and contributing to the flourishing Roman civilization. As the Romans established their dominion over Hispania, a process known as Romanization took place. That's a cultural metamorphosis that blends Roman customs, governance, and language with the diverse traditions of the indigenous people. Starting in 198 BC and the years that followed, the Romans systematically expanded their control, conquering the Celta-Iberians, a confederation of Celtic and Iberian tribes, in the central and northeastern part of Hispania. The fierce resistance of the Celta-Iberians showcased their determination to oppose Romanization. These rebellions and revolutions lasted decades. War with the Celta-Iberians was devastating for both sides, but the Romans eventually conquered much of that land and the people in western Hispania. Meanwhile, the Turdetani, an ancient Iberian tribe in the south, were among the first to experience the Roman conquest, influencing and being influenced by their conquerors. The Romanization meant that many of the tribes switched to Latin rather than their indigenous languages, much of which has been lost to us today. The Romans divided Hispania into two parts: Hispania Citerior, the nearer Spain or eastern region, and Hispania Ulterior, the inland Spain in the south and the west. Julius Caesar even governed Spain in 61 BC, and there he had killed the son of Pompey, Gnaeus Pompeius, and the famous Roman general Titus Labienus. In the north, the ancient Basques, known for their unique language and distinct cultural identity, also encountered Roman presence. Though they never were fully conquered, they traded and interacted with the Romans, preserving their heritage amidst the changing times. As the Romans advanced, the indigenous Iberians, with their diverse cultures and city-states, faced the formidable might of the Roman legions. Gradually, regions such as Bactria, Tarraconensis, and Lusitania fell under Roman control, shaping the new province of Hispania. Let's not forget the Greeks and the Carthaginian colonies that dotted the coastline. The Greeks, renowned for their Empyrean, and the Carthaginian outposts, had all fallen to the Roman Empire, leaving their imprint on Hispania. Even the Cantabrians and the Asturians eventually fell to the Romans after fierce resistance. By 19 BC, during the reign of Emperor Augustus, all of Hispania came under Roman rule. So what happened to these diverse peoples after the Roman conquest? Well, the Romans brought Pax Romana, a period of relative peace and stability, which fostered economic growth, infrastructure, development, and cultural exchange throughout Hispania. This lasted almost 7 centuries, The Roman legal system gradually replaced the traditional Iberian practices. Roman law brought stability and order, ensuring more uniform administration throughout the province. Basically, they brought bureaucracy to the Iberians. Language played a crucial role in the Romanization process. Latin, the language of the Romans, became the lingua franca of Hispania. It spread through trade, education, and interactions between the Romans and the other people of the land, eventually replacing the local languages. The influence of Roman culture reached far and wide, permeating every aspect of daily life. But Romanization was not a one-sided affair. You see, the indigenous people of Hispania, while embracing Roman customs, they had also left their mark on Roman culture. Local traditions and beliefs blended with Roman practices, creating a unique Hispano-Roman culture in the region. It was during the height of the Roman Empire in the 1st century that Christianity started gaining traction across the Mediterranean world. Initially, the Romans opposed the Christian religion. There were reports of Christianity entering into Hispania during the reign of Emperor Nero, who was severely oppressive against the Christians. In the year 303, Emperor Diocletian tried to crush the rise of Christianity by any means necessary, employing ruthless measures. It wasn't until the early 4th century when Emperor Constantine of the Eastern Roman Empire, known as Byzantium, embraced Christianity and began to spread Christianity in the Roman Empire. With the patronage of the Roman state, Christianity gained prominence in Hispania. Churches were established and Christian communities began to form in major cities like Tarraco and Emerita Augusta. The Romans introduced measures to integrate Christian practices into established social order while respecting some traditional Roman religious customs in Hispania. One significant development was the Council of Elvira, held around the 4th century in present-day Granada. This council addressed various issues concerning the conduct of Christians, establishing guidelines for matters such as marriage, baptism, and the relationship between the Christians and the non-Christians. Roman Hispania seemed to be thriving under the empire. However, that wouldn't last very long, as a new group of people hailing from beyond the Danube was eyeing the Roman Empire and seeking to gain entry into the West. Hordes of Goths hailed down from Germania.